This is KSLA News 12 this morning.
It is Tuesday, and that means it's time to talk some dollars and cents. This morning, we're joined by financial advisor Steve Darden. Good morning.
Good morning, Naja.
Glad to have you.
Well, good to be here.
Well, it seems like the market is showing some positive signs. What's the latest?
Yeah, I mean, it's up from the low that we hit on March 9th. The S&P 500's up, gosh, over 30%, and the Dow's up right at 30%. So it's easy to feel euphoric about that, but then what we tend to try to really remind people of is we're just now to the point where we began the year. You know, the very early part of the year was so
we
bad.
were in such a, what was it, on
March 9th?
March 9th,
yeah,
was that a record?
That was as low as it had been, gosh, and that went back to about 12 years since it had been that low, right?
So we have to keep any gains in perspective, it sounds like.
Yeah, we do, and there might be some near-term profit taking, which basically means people will be selling, which will drive the market a little bit lower near-term. You know, who knows near-term, but that could happen. But we still think fundamentally, long-term, that the stock market's a good buy right now.
So do we expect the increase or the rise to last, or?
Yeah, you know, and again, I mean, near term, who knows? There could be some profit taking that would drive it a little bit lower, but if you have a long-term perspective on investing, which is what you should have if you're in the stock market, we think it's a good time to be in the market. You know, what we're recommending it basically a neutral position, and that means if your normal long-term portfolio is 50% stocks and 50% fixed income, that's where you should be right now.
All right, just sit tight. I want to talk to you a little bit because it made headlines yesterday.
Sure.
Obama's tax plan, what is it?
Well, basically, you know, and it's impossible to argue with the words that he's using. You know, he's using, of course, words like fairness, and we don't want corporations to be able to evade taxes, and, you know, nobody wants them to be able to do that. The bigger picture issue that I see down the road, and you know, at some point in time that we'll have to deal with, is you can't allow a situation where U.S. corporations are not competitive on a global scale because of taxation. You know, that's the bigger issue that we could see down the road.
How does this affect companies and their ability to outsource?
They'll still outsource. I mean, they'll absolutely outsource, I think, just because they'll be able to get more tax advantages overseas. And eventually, though, if they do hire all of the people that they're talking about in the IRS, it might make it more difficult for those companies to get lower tax rates by going overseas. So long term, you know, I'm not sure, I certainly don't know, and I'm not sure even that the head officials in the government know just yet exactly how this is going to play out. But again, the words that are being used, words like fairness and we don't want corporations to be able to evade taxes, well, those are all noble causes, of course, but long term, I just don't know that they've really thought through all the ramifications of this.
Obama also talked about making tax havens like the Cayman Islands illegal. What do you think about that?
Well, and again, I think that's a noble cause, but the bigger issue, and I keep coming back to this, the bigger issue is U.S. corporations have to be competitive on a global scale. So if corporations in other parts of the world are allowed to do things of that sort, I guess the way you would look at it, Naja, is would you rather have 30% taxes of 5% profit, or would you rather have 20% taxes on $10 of profit?
So it sounds like your real concern is this is going to affect the United States' ability to compete on a global level.
Potentially, absolutely. I think that's exactly what could happen. And if that's the case, then the consumer bears the brunt of it.
Well, it will be interesting to follow, and we will certainly rely on you for your expertise.
Yeah.
Thanks so much this morning, Steve.